good morning, and I want to welcome everybody to Forgotten Liberty Radio, voice of liberty in the Central Valley. I'm Matthew, technical producer of the show. We've got John and Justin both here today, and why am I getting feedback? Oh, you turned down yours? There we go. That sounds a lot better. What is happening this morning, gents? How are both of you doing?
Well, besides we're, fashionably, 6 minutes late as always.
Yes.
John works real hard to get out of bed and get here on time.
And Matthew messes that up by being late to the technical game here. I was having some technical difficulties this morning, and Facebook was being a pain about when it would let me schedule the video. Anyhow, we're on.
Among
we're live.
other things, it got me in this jail back here with this cord running across so we can
Yeah.
hear some very important news.
You want to start off the show?
I don't know
with
if
that?
it's news. Yeah, I would have opened the show with that. I wouldn't have opened the show with this monologue. I would have just.
Okay. Let me show you. Let me figure this out here. Give me just
Because
a second.
Justin gets a treat here as well.
That's true. He does.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna hear something new myself, huh?
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Yeah, you are.
And
Yes, you are.
I usually
and it
hear
pertains
something
to
new
you,
when I
too.
come
It
here.
absolutely pertains to events happening in your town, and
Yeah.
Right.
okay,
Well, I
so,
assume
yeah.
so.
Screw these people.
It
dude.
sounded like I was hearing a recording of you talking to the council.
I'm over this stuff.
All right, you ready? Let me minimize you a little bit and go ahead and play this for our audience.
Your hand raised is John Osgood. Mr. Osgood, I'll unmute your mic.
Go ahead, John.
Well, I'm kind of disappointed in the entire council. I'm a commercial truck driver. I sent you all an email. For the most part, everybody responds to my emails. Miss Rhino, you need to be chastised. I don't care what district I'm in. You will respond to the people of Ceres when they email you. Secondly, I sent an email to the clerk and to the entire council because of my occupation. I'm not always able to be on the Zoom calls. I am parked on the side of the road in a commercial vehicle to attend this meeting. Why? Because I have already proven tonight my emails aren't going to be read. I'm not going to be taken seriously. Is there a reason for that? I'm pissed.
I will respond to that. I read your emails, and I was talking to Tom. We mentioned somebody who has a commercial vehicle such as him. I mean, I don't see us citing that person, especially.
You have to put the exemption out there. You cannot make an ordinance and have exemptions and not exempt the commercial driver taking federally mandated FMCSA rest periods, which are maximum of 36 hours, minimum of 10. If we're going to bring business into Ceres, we have to allow truckers to park in the industrial and commercial areas. This is ridiculous. Not one of you mentioned the points I bring up in that email. The clerk didn't even address reading the email. Other people tonight have had their emails read. This is dereliction of duty. It's disrespectful and unacceptable. And the swear words will start coming out soon if you people don't give me the just due that I deserve. I'm a 44-year-old, 44-year resident of Ceres, a graduate of Ceres High, an Eagle Scout, and I am not going to put up with being ignored.
Thank you, John. Can we address that? Can we address that issue at the moment? I mean, what can we do for John when it comes to that? Because he ain't the only truck driver in town, obviously. I don't see us doing that to any truck drivers in town. My father's a truck driver, as we discussed before. But I mean,
but do you see a truck parked on the side of the road the same as a camper?
Linda,
think
you don't get basic common sense. If you have exceptions to the rule, you must list every exception. You're asking for RVs to be added. You're asking for this and that to be added. Listen, let's be very clear. I have a California state law enforcement officer on that dice, do I not? We have vehicle registrations. Not to mention you don't have an exception for the commercial drivers that we pay multiple times higher registrations for the privilege of moving these heavy loads up and down the road. I'm a business owner in this county. This affects me being no exemption being given. So I've been affected several times tonight where the clerk disrespects me. Every one of you disrespect me by failing to mention. And Cooper, you're not immune to this. failing to mention the very things I discuss in that email. I discussed the private property rights. We pay taxes on these vehicles and these RVs and these trucks like they're personal property, just like our homes. And you have to take that into consideration. White Hill, Churchill, whatever, our city attorneys are the most inept people around. And any advice you get from them is ridiculous. They themselves should have brought this to your attention. You're going to penalize people for a lawful activity in their vehicle, parked in a lawful manner. You don't have the right to violate us in that fashion. I don't care if you're trying to, stop homelessness or what you're trying to do here. It's irresponsible, it's tyrannical, and it's disrespectful. You better get your act together.
John, thank you for
And
your
if none
comments.
of you think that I've been disrespected tonight, you're all fools.
Thank you, John, for your comments. Do we have anybody else who?
Yes, next person is John Warren. Mr. Warren, I'll unmute your mic.
Thank you, Council. Again, on the matter of camping, rather than the terminology overnight camping, I just think the clarification might be camping in general, because there are people who do camp during the daytime hours as well as the nighttime hours. And so when a final draft is developed on this particular item, I think there should be some type of database that can be developed to track those individuals who possibly might be cited or warned in regards to this municipal code violation. So an officer contacting a person one day can check and see if he's been warned previously or if he's been cited previously by maybe another officer within our jurisdiction. I would also think that quite possibly on the citation notice or the cease and desist notice, that there be some verbiage that the individual not camp ever again within the city limits of Ceres. And that makes it very specific, and the person's been notified of the rules, and that further violations would result in it becoming a misdemeanor and further law enforcement enforcement. And also I made some suggestions in regards to in the definition section. Maybe those are unnecessary, but maybe that's something that staff could consider, because the first thing these folks do when they arrive in a parking area is round up all the shopping carts in the community that they can see, go over to the local dumpster and load it up with junk, and then truck it over and stack it up in front of their homestead. And this contributes to the unsightliness of the problem. So anyway, thank you for listening and giving consideration. I agree with Councilman Rhino. I don't think there should be a time frame. I assume that it was put in the ordinance to be reasonable, just like on the state highway rest areas, the 8-hour provision at those locations was put there so people would have a chance to rest. That's the purpose of rest areas. But within our city, people don't normally come here to rest. They're doing business. And my thought on this matter was where it pertained mainly to our shopping centers and parking lots, not necessarily looking at the commercial drivers that do come through our community. And maybe some consideration should be looked at in that regard to make sure that the areas that they can be in specifically are addressed, and there may be some type of exception made in regards to that matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
That's enough.
Is there anybody else?
That's enough.
No, Mayor.
You got me turned back on yet?
Yep, you're back. You're
We're
back.
live.
You're back.
All
you're
right.
Back.
Well, that was something, man. You really gave it to the city council there, John.
Well, I mean, there's other reasons why the passion was there.
Right, right. Well, it's strikes to you personally. So, yeah, let's get some background on this because I'm not fully up on what this whole ordeal was about. It's an ordinance they're trying to pass in Ceres.
Right. So before we do that, let's
okay.
just say this is going to be different type of episode for everybody because Justin can actually play the interviewer.
Yeah, I'm asking these questions genuinely.
And I can
'cause I don't
actually,
know the background.
be being interviewed instead of ranting and raving on this show.
Well, I'm sure you'll probably still do that in your answers anyway. Yeah, but no, this is an ordinance I haven't really been following in Ceres. What are they trying to do?
So what happens October or November? It could have even been December. It was, some time ago because now we're at the public comment or public hearing portion of a new municipal code in Ceres.
Right. Well, what's the code? They're trying to crack down on people in parking lots or on public roads?
Right. So let me give you some background. John Warren, the man you heard after I had my, you people are retards moment.
Right.
At the city council meeting. He's a retired California highway patrolman.
Okay.
So he has an issue with these homeless basically living in their RVs or older RVs and parking in the parking lot of the Hatch Road Shopping District. So there was a picture in the Ceres Courier with an RV and a bunch of shit hanging off of it, parked in the Wendy's parking lot, or what was the old TG&Y. Let's see how far back people go in Ceres, and In Shape and a Big Lots had been there. Now it's the WSS Shoe and the Harbor Freight, Dollar Tree.
I can picture right where you're talking about.
Okay, so they're sitting out front there on the east side of that section of that shopping center, south side of Hatch Road, for anybody who doesn't know, in this RV, and that's what they're living in their RV, basically.
Right.
Now, we can get into why people are living in cars, RVs, trucks, tents.
Yeah, that could be its own
shacks,
episode.
Right. And I have my own theories, and I'll slam them daily on previous councils and previous planning commissions, planning departments on why we're where we're at. When and if we choose to have that segment or that episode, everybody's going to be like, it really is that simple.
Right.
But so Mr. Warren doesn't want to see this so-called blight or public camping, so to speak.
Right.
Okay. We have ordinances in Ceres that prohibit that in our parks or public parking areas, such as like Smyrna Park, Roding Heights. You can't just go to the park and camp, right?
Right.
So, and Ceres is pretty good about policing that.
Yeah, I never see any in the parks.
Right. We don't
None
have
of our local ones here.
We don't have a lot of that living or sleeping in our parks. So they're in the process of finalizing a municipal code to prevent people from living in their vehicles.
Right. And this is just going to make it a misdemeanor so they can write people tickets for it?
Basically, they'll be able to give you 3 warnings, and then it's a misdemeanor.
Oh, okay.
Now
it starts out as an infraction, builds to a misdemeanor.
But let's look at what we're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, not to change subjects, but Donald Trump has officially been impeached by the House twice. The only president
for a second time.
Right, the only president to ever be impeached twice. And what's the threshold for impeachment of a president? High crimes or misdemeanors.
Right.
Right? So, if we have to tell you to move along because you're sleeping in your vehicle 3 times, you're now guilty of an impeachable offense.
Right.
I mean, it's straight up as simple as that. And everyone in Ceres, everyone in Turlock, everyone in Modesto, Stanislaus County, North Merced County, South San Joaquin County, our Calaveras, Tuolumne, Contra Costa, we have to be, or Santa Clara. I guess we don't really border Contra Costa, but we do border Santa Clara with it.
Right. On our west, yeah.
Yeah. So everyone within our sphere of influence needs to be very aware that they are making a municipal code that says you cannot do lawful things lawfully parked in your registered vehicles
Right.
in the city of Ceres without being guilty of an impeachable offense to where you could never serve public service positions.
Right.
They don't even take that into consideration, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it is. I mean, it basically, hey, you're homeless. We're sorry we screwed up your economy, and you got to live in your ramshackle RV or your car. But
you can't.
You're
do
not
it here.
You're not gonna sleep in your car in this parking lot because we don't want to see it. And I know people don't want to see it, but we don't have a right not to be offended or not to see things that
and some people have no other choice, right?
Well, where are you going to go?
Right.
Where are you going to go?
So what brings you into it is because you're a truck driver, I'm presuming.
No, what brought me into it was sections of the email that they didn't read. Okay.
Which email is this? Wasn't it the city sent out to people, or?
No, my email that I sent to them.
Oh, objecting to it.
Well, that was an agenda item.
Right, right.
So agenda item 12 this past council meeting was a public hearing on Case's Journey. Okay, they're a cannabis dispensary.
Yeah, the one out there at Morgan and Service, right?
Well, yeah, Farm Supply out off of Service and Crow's Landing area out there.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're a manufacturer of CBD products, cannabis products, and they're a dispensary, medical dispensary.
Yeah, I've been there once.
Now, however, we have two other, and I chewed on them about the first part of the agenda item as well. Now, Jeff Benzinger's really good about pointing out that I rip into the council about we've already given two other dispensaries 10-year contracts, and now we're to this other one, and his time's up out there at Case's Journey. And the council, Linda Rhino in particular, and she sways Brett Silvera, the cop, okay? She sways him, and because she's scared that the weed man might get robbed in 2021 and cause a massive gang shootout over drugs in her neighborhood, that she doesn't want to give him his 10 years, and she doesn't want to
live anywhere near that place.
But it's about the allowance of weed deliveries, right?
Well, there's a lady that from that establishment that used to attend the city council meetings regularly.
Right, but it doesn't matter. The state law allows for weed delivery.
Right.
Right?
I'm just saying you'd think the city would have some kind of a relationship with that business already and not have those kind of concerns.
Well, my concern is we've given, as a city, right, this 10-year term to two other similar businesses.
Right. There's no reason this one shouldn't.
With the exact same criteria, okay? He's asking for equal and fair treatment under the law, under the contracts that are written by Ceres. Why is our city council even discussing whether to issue this contract or not? We've already set a precedent, right? And I'm like, you shut up, Linda. You can't do that. Well, I was on the councils that voted for that, and I was against it then. I don't give a crap what you're against then or what you're against now. Once the precedent is established, again, why is Tom Hallinan, our city attorney, not saying we can't do this?
Yeah, that's discrimination.
I'm going to Case's Journey on my next day off, and I'm going to make an appointment to sit down with the owners. What they're doing to him is criminal.
Right. Yeah, it's like selective prosecution.
No, they're picking winners.
Well, that's
in the cannabis business.
Right. Maybe prosecution isn't the right word, but
it's a civil lawsuit against the city of Ceres is what this council, what Linda Rhino has single-handedly orchestrated. There's no question. Tom Westbrook, our city manager, and our city attorney, Tom Hallinan, should be saying, we're not looking for consent on this. We're telling you people what we're doing so we don't get sued.
Right.
Why do we have districts in Ceres when we're not required to have council districts? Because they were afraid of legislation. But in this instance with the cannabis club, owner,
Mm-hmm.
Case's journey. They're violating his right to equal protection and equal treatment under the law.
Right.
So I'm already fired up because I got to get on there and tell them, give them their 10 years. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Did I provide you with the timestamp on that part of it, Matthew?
Hold on. Yes, you did. Give me a second to pull it up. Go ahead and keep on talking.
So basically, I chastise him about that. Jeff Benzinger says John Osgood rips into the city council.
Right. Yeah, but for good reason.
Okay, there's no article in the Ceres Courier about the public hearing where I totally obliterate the council.
Mm-hmm.
I make them look like the stupidest people in Ceres. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's the problem. During every council meeting, we started out with a public comment period, right?
Right.
So I send an email meant for public comment. And here's the clerk's response. Cooper does eventually ask her in the meetings if we have any other emails. She's not going to read my email about the agenda item.
I just wanted to chime in. I've known
about the commercial vehicle parking, about the private use of property issues,
my house,
right? That I address. And that's why I'm so upset with the city
about 5 years
in this meeting. Is I've sent these things. I've done what you've asked in the Zoom process. I had those emails to her at 8:30 in the morning on Monday, the day the council meeting was. You're only required to have it to her by 5 p.m. It was to her, the city manager, and all 4 council members at 8:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I'm coming at them. None of you say anything about the points I make.
Even though you followed all the procedure that you were supposed to get it in there.
I followed every procedure to get my voice heard, and they were going to ignore me.
All right, I got the clip when you're ready.
Well, let's hear it.
Osgood, I will unmute your mic.
Yes, I just want everybody to know we can't protect everybody from every situation. If we gave another business a 10-year contract, we must, even Mrs. Rhino, equally apply the law to all in Ceres. Give the man his 10 years. Thank you.
Mr. Osgood, I did not agree with the
And that's where she fucked up.
last one.
Regardless,
I'm just telling you that when you say I need to be equal, I am being equal.
Regardless of if you agreed with it or not, ma'am, the city has made the precedent and allowed another business to have the 10 years. It's time to move on. We have an adequate police department that can protect your neighborhood. If they cannot, as a councilwoman, you need to address the chief of police about that. We must be equal in our contracts with everyone. That's all I got.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else?
No, Mayor.
Yeah, I see what you say, how she tried to skate, Well, I was against it all. I'm equal and consistent because I was always against it for everyone.
Well, and I think it's
like you said, it's not a personal preference at this choice because they're not asking you to vote on whether it should be allowed or not. You set the precedent that it should be allowed, and now you're not allowing someone when you've already allowed other people to do it.
And regardless of if this is a brand new council or not, regardless of if she was opposed to it before,
like you said, it doesn't matter because now it's the city's
precedent.
It's the way that they've already ruled on it.
We've decided that's how it's going to be in Ceres, and the people had no objection to it then. So why would Miss Rhino's district have an objection to it now?
Yeah,
and knowing Miss Rhino's district, I don't want to throw out where she lives. Okay, I'm going to somewhere around Ceres High behind the football stadium. Let them come to your house now, woman. Keep pissing me off. I'm not doxing you. These are
Right, but even if it's in the same district, that's really far away from where the site is, the location
that
we're talking
neighborhood,
about.
And we're talking that Caswell, Ceres High, Memorial South, neighborhood.
Right.
Okay, and I'm not saying the whole district is impoverished, and I'm not saying the whole district
But there are some bad neighborhoods
uses
in it,
medical or recreational marijuana. But she's concerned with not giving this guy his legitimate, equal, and fair treatment under contract law in Ceres, because the very district that she represents does have some black market drug crime. Okay,
Right.
This is not black
That was
market.
around before dispensaries came around.
Dude, if
it was
she's-
more prevalent before this dispensaries came around.
She rules her life and this city in fear.
Does she not know prohibition leads to black markets every single time?
Look, our local Nancy needs to disappear.
I'm with you on that one.
and
I
when
wish I was in her district so I could vote her out.
And when I say disappear, I don't mean I want somebody to physically take her.
I didn't take it as a threat.
Possibly to the Nevada desert and dig a hole with a very large excavator and hide her.
This
in
is
it.
not a Martin Scorsese movie.
Right. No, I mean, I want her to physically resign from the council.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that
She should.
I think just in this one meeting, I've produced enough evidence that she's violating us at a manner way more than any misdemeanor. No, listen to me.
My biggest
Listen
problem
to
with
me.
her,
What-
she's not really representing anyone but herself. She rules
Right.
by what her opinion is and what she
Right.
thinks things should be.
Exactly. But listen here. Does the woman have a speeding ticket?
I don't know, does she?
If she's ever had a speeding ticket, she's committed a misdemeanor. If it's good enough to impeach the president, I want Linda Rhino out.
Can we make a recall effort for her? We'd have to be in her district, huh?
Real quick, I want to say thank you to James Mathers. He shared it to his local incident group. So we got a handful of new viewers.
Oh, nice.
So if you want to give like a really, really, really
What
fast
happened?
summary. He said he shared it to a local incident feed group with Vanessa Stanislaus News and Incident Feed. So thank you, James, for sharing that. We appreciate it.
You mean people are getting out what I'm saying?
People are getting out.
Yeah,
what
I'm
they're
not
spreading it,
I'm
too.
not just a loudmouth in
You're not.
Stanislaus County
No.
causing
Well,
problems.
nobody actually made that claim.
No, people have made that
Even
claim.
loudmouths stirring up problems can get their stuff spread around. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
No, but people have made the claim that I don't know what I'm talking about.
I wouldn't make that
we-
claim.
Well,
You can be a loudmouth starting problems and still know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
None of these
Exactly.
ideas are exclusive, mutually
Right,
exclusive
I
to
get
each other.
So what exactly are we looking
Might
for?
be a little column A.
We're
little
looking
column
for
B.
some explanation of
I
what.
was just going to
exactly.
say, give a quick summary for people who have hopped in a little late. They may have gotten some summary of it.
Quick summary is get to the beginning of the video and watch from there.
I guess John's quick
Yeah,
summary
because we've
is
kind
watch
of
the
been
whole thing.
simultaneously covering two topics,
Right,
as far as the city
because
council
where are
is-
we right now? Are we on the weed issue? Or are we on the
the RV stuff, right?
the
Yeah,
RVs,
exactly.
the overnight camping?
Well, we've
issue?
kind of been
Are we-
talking both
are
of them
we on-
concurrently.
Are we on? I submit. Okay, other things for public comment. Basically, it's that
Yeah.
I've submitted everything properly
and they keep
in
ignoring you.
the process
Right.
to the city of Ceres to address my council. And because I also send the emails not only to the clerk but to all council members and the city manager, the clerk feels that I'm not entitled to be read to the other citizens attending the meeting via Zoom.
You know,
right?
you ought to start sending
I'm not going to.
maybe send the email also to the Ceres Courier, since they've been critical of you blowing up once you've been ignored
I
for
don't-
so long.
but you know what?
If
I
they
don't
see
think-
the beginning of you calling it out in email and see the grounds that you're standing on, they might
Didn't
be more
I sent
sympathetic.
Matthew? Did I send you the article?
Yes, I was just
yeah,
about to
yeah.
pull that
So
up.
if you pull that up, I'll let Matthew read exactly what Benzinger says.
Okay.
I don't think he's being critical of me at all. I think.
Oh,
he's,
okay.
I think
I
what.
thought that's the way you implied it.
No, and I'm
earlier.
critical of Jeff a lot, right? You've heard me say
Right,
that on
right,
this
right.
show, and people have seen me comment that on the Ceres Courier's Facebook page. When
I thought you meant that he was saying it in a way that was critical.
No,
of
I
you.
don't. I didn't take it that way at all.
Oh,
but
okay.
When Jeff steps out of line in his editorials or this or that or the articles, I let him know. You know, I'm that guy. I don't care if Justin says the wrong thing. You guys have heard us argue back and forth.
Oh yeah.
About where things are. So, you know, and even arguing
go.
is an education. Are you ready to read that too?
I'm ready to read it. This is Ceres Courier on. It says new council deadlocks over changes to cannabis developer agreement, and this is what was written about you, John. John Osgood ripped into the council for attempting to treat Reynolds any differently than the other cannabis businesses who received 10-year agreements.
Okay, yeah. I wouldn't say that's critical of you.
It's not critical. I think as a matter of fact, he could have left that out if he were being critical of me.
It seemed like an impartial statement, really. He
right.
Was
well, what it was
happened,
is he's saying, "Hey, look, there are people in Ceres that think they're violating
they're
violating Reynolds' case's journey, and they absolutely are.
Right.
Absolutely are.
Well, it sounds like it from what you've told me.
Well, you live in Ceres,
right? But I haven't been following this,
right? But we're both in District 4.
Right.
Right?
Is that what district it falls in? It's out of. I think it's out of the boundaries of any actual district, isn't it?
No, because it's over there by Farm Supply. I don't know.
Gotta extend out that
I don't
way.
know exactly what district
it'd be either us or Linda Rhinos, I think, because they converge out that way, don't they?
It'd be 1, 2, or 4. Yeah. But
I'm trying to look it up right now.
Regardless, it doesn't matter what district it's in.
No, you're right. I'm just thinking because I know the area. I'm just thinking about it geographically.
You're an elector in Ceres, right? And you're a taxpayer in Ceres. Look, I don't even give them all my credentials when I'm talking. I tell them I'm 44-year resident of Ceres.
Mm-hmm.
I tell them I'm a business owner in the county. I tell them I'm an Eagle Scout. I tell them I'm a graduate of Ceres High. I don't mention I'm a homeowner. Right?
Right.
So if anybody has any more say than anyone else, dude, I own property and I'm paying property tax, right?
Right.
So I even have a louder or a more important voice to listen to than the renter that's an elector.
You've got more skin in the game.
Right. I got more skin than most people in Ceres in the game, except for Turlock, we're coming for you next. My business is out of Turlock.
Okay.
Here.
So you are an owner-operator as far as your truck driving goes? Or
I'm an officer in Recovery Solutions Incorporated. Because I'm an officer, the corporation owns the truck, right?
Oh, okay.
But I own part of the corporation.
Oh, okay.
Now our business...
So it's almost like a co-op business.
No, it's shareholders, just like any other corporation. That could be me and you, or me and Joe Blow, or John Doe, or... It doesn't matter. There's two people that own Recovery Solutions, right?
Okay.
And we, do
you're
whatever
partnered
work.
in the business that you work for, the company.
I handle the transportation side of the business.
Okay.
There's other sides of the business: engineers, chemists, biologists, and transportation. We recycle non-hazardous waters and other products, fertilizers, food waste.
Oh, okay. See, believe it or not, John, people might find this stuff interesting and want to know a little bit about you.
Well, however,
so I'm trying to bring that to light here.
It's fine, but just so everybody knows, we're coming for Turlock next, because Turlock's doing these same types of retarded things, and the city
look how long it took them just to approve one cannabis store.
Dude, the city attorneys over here are from the same firm that Tom Hallinan works for, and we can't continue to allow these attorneys, city managers, city councils to put us, and that's what it is. It's us. It's the voters of the city, the taxpayers of the city, in legal jeopardy because they're inept.
Right. Because they can't be consistent with their own judgments and rulings.
Right. I'm not calling them retards. I'm saying they're too smart for their own good, right? Because they have forgotten all common sense and common application of the law. Right? I don't tell these people I had 8 to 12 direct... I'm a descendant of 8 to 12 people on the however many we figured out it was on the Mayflower, or the men and women that left England as noblemen and women and came to form the Massachusetts Bay Colony, or the first Postmaster General. I don't give them this breakdown at the city council.
Well, they wouldn't care anyway.
But it doesn't matter. I don't even tell them I'm a homeowner. But the simple fact is, like I said, I got more skin, and I'm smarter than all of them. They all sit there dumbfounded. And you heard the mayor. He kept trying to cut in there. So I was kind of being a dick about it. So I did have my stopwatch on, and I know I'm entitled to 5 minutes.
Right.
And every time they thought I was done, well, I'm
You'd
just going to
start
use
going
everything.
again, yeah.
So that was 4 minutes and 45 seconds with the pauses and their interjections of John schooling the city council.
Right.
And legitimately, people, if I can school the city council, you can school the city council. Right?
Well, it really takes is a little research, right? I mean, that's what you're doing, right? You look into the laws they're talking about and read the language of it and see how it's applied.
Right. So
I mean, I'm guessing that's your process. I don't know.
Right. So the one email that they didn't read, I addressed with the 10-year issue with the marijuana clinic.
Mm-hmm.
You've heard that. You've heard me address the issue with the no exemption for commercial drivers,
right?
And the lawful use of our personal property. And make no mistake, I didn't go out there saying that a guy with no registration can be driving his car around.
Right.
And
living in it. That's actually what I was going to ask about. Was you said the exemption for commercial drivers. So you're talking about like someone's on the job in their truck and they need to pull over for a few hours of sleep and they can't get a ticket for it, right?
This is what I'm talking about, okay? I'm talking about what does Patterson have that we could have had? We have Winco. There's room out here to build Amazon.
Right.
Patterson got it. Tracy got Amazon. So many industrial businesses are locating in our neighboring communities because they're more business friendly.
Right.
They don't have Linda Rhino or people like that don't want business in Ceres.
Right.
Look, Ceres is never going to be that one stoplight town, Linda. You're never going to get back to that.
Yeah, we're done being a small town. We need to embrace our
Well, no, we're still a small town at heart,
but not
right?
the same way it used to be.
But
we've expanded to the point where we need more support for the residential areas we've expanded.
Ha ha ha! And that's the reason for the homelessness. I didn't want to go there today. But we've had planning commissions.
We might as well.
We've had and that's where all this comes from, right?
It all ties into
because
the same
they don't
thing.
want people to be homeless. But we've had for decades in Ceres a planning commission, a planning department that has been wanting to allow development, allow these homes to come in.
Yeah, we're unneeded, really.
What does that do, though? You bring homes in that the local economy cannot support. So we transport these people in from the Bay Area. And I'm not saying that all Bay Area people are bad. You know, inner city, like we're a huge city. No, communal politic, like in what happens in a city.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, basically is communistic, right? Because you're worried about your community.
And the truest definition of it. Yes.
Right. But this is where we're supposed to deal with the taxation, with the sales taxes and
right, and that's what should pay for your roads and your schools and all that stuff, not federal funding.
But we do this like that in Stanislaus County, right? Because we're a fiscally conservative area.
Well, we try to be.
Right, but we understand if we're lacking funds for our services such as police and fire, we come up with Measure H.
Mm-hmm.
We're paying that percentage sales tax in Ceres,
right,
to fund our police and fire to a level above what we're able to do with the money that the state gives us back. Right. So we have Stanislaus County library tax where we're funding our public libraries. Right. We do these things in this community, and that's where the taxes should happen. But the problem comes in from this decades abuse of
reallocating funds.
Reality, not even had nothing to do with funds. We've built housing and housing and housing to the peril of our sewer system, to the peril of our potable water system.
The infrastructure hasn't kept up.
Right, to the peril of our police and fire infrastructure. What we've also done is by building these new developments every few years, do we bring people in to pay those taxes? Yeah, we do. But we also keep raising the cost of living.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And the cost of living goes up, but the amount of available jobs don't.
Right.
Right?
Well, and that also has to do with you saying it's a very not business friendly town. They could make it easier for people to start their own locally owned businesses.
Well,
small businesses,
or even be where I bring in the commercial vehicle exemption.
Right.
If I'm a Midwestern trucker and I'm bringing potash in here from the Midwest, or salt, or one of these commodities that we need that we don't have in the Central Valley, and I get here at 10 o'clock at night, I want to be able to park in the industrial areas of Ceres, do my 10-hour rest period, drive into the facility, unload, and leave.
Right.
Right? It's $10 to park over at the Modesto Truck Plaza, and you got to deal with all the homeless in their cars over there and stuff. And really a truck stop that the bathrooms never work anyways. Okay? They're worried about sanitation and they're worried about homelessness. But the truck drivers aren't like leaving duty bags in the industrial areas. And last I checked, if you urinate it beside your truck, it evaporates and it doesn't cause an issue.
Right.
Right? It's like, so we're going to say in commercial, industrial, and residential areas in the municipal code, and we're not going to grant that exemption to the person or the group that's doing a lawful activity and supporting industry in the community.
Right, bringing supplies into us that we
right.
need.
Well, when somebody looks at locating in their business in our industrial areas, right? And I'm talking someone other than G3, third generation Gallo. Let's face it. Right. But let's be consistent in our understanding that if the Gallo family is continuing to build warehouses and facilities in the Ceres area, which they absolutely are.
Yeah,
off of
Whitmore. Yeah.
That thing, the old Procter and Gamble area and
where Post used to be,
and CVC and Post, that's all blown up with Gallo. Gallo's not building that stuff here. They can just as easily truck their product from Yosemite Boulevard to Patterson to get next to I-5, but they're building in this community because we have great access to the interstate system.
Right.
And where we should be looking for things that aren't retail. And we're beholden to a council with people like Linda Rhino, and I hate to keep slamming her, but she's the dumbest of the dumb, and she's got a law enforcement officer up there that thinks he's beholden to state law, but on the other hand, something we'll get into, doesn't believe he needs to address state law because he's actually beholden to the governor, which is a really bad position to have nowadays,
right.
Politically, and
especially with our governor.
And all I'm saying is we're not taking into account the commercial viability of the city that we're losing because of these policies, because of the people that don't represent us.
Right.
I'm the only one chastising the city council about these things. How is that productive? That just looks like John yelling and screaming at the city council. You know, if you interpret what I did there as yelling and screaming, you have a mental disorder that I cannot fix. Even the city manager, when I talked to him on Wednesday on the phone, said I didn't take it as you yelling at us. I heard passion for your city, and we need more of that. He can't do it unless we all engage.
Right.
Unless we all engage at that level, and you see, I can calm down on the subject. I'm actually a little more calm on this episode discussing it with you than I am normally on our episodes.
Yeah,
right?
This is probably the most relaxed I've ever seen you since I've been helping you host.
Well, but I mean, legitimately, and that excitement is passion for the way our system's supposed to work, right?
Well, and it's frustration for seeing when they're doing it wrong or breaking constitutional guidelines, or you know what I mean. I see it in any subject that you talk about, not
Right.
just about the ones that have to do with Ceres. But
Well,
I think it's a combination. You get the frustration because of your passion, you know what I
right,
mean?
and I think everybody understands. I just kind of picked the topic, and we baptize you by fire on a weekly basis when you're with us. I think it makes for better discussions.
I think so too, because
You
I've
know.
not come in already hearing what you've said.
Yeah,
or
I
what
could
you're
have
thinking
I
about
could have
it.
rant and raved to Justin the night of the council meeting, and then we wouldn't be able to have this and have a calm conversation, because then it'd just be
Then
me.
we'd both be up
We'd
here
be
yelling and
pissed off.
bitching about it. Hey, that's why I quit going to the meetings, dude. I was going every meeting for a while, and I'm just like, I can't even sit in the audience and listen to this because it just gets me so like frustrated.
Perfect segue though for why I'm so pissed off Monday night, right? So my first email to them was about this Gavin Newsom's executive order waiving the 30-day limits and the 60-day limits for review of these local emergencies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm gonna do something some people that watch intently and listen to our podcasts intently. Speaking of listening, some people can only listen, Matthew, and we need to start getting these things uploaded.
Yeah, that's on me.
And
Oops.
so
Yes, I'll get that taken care of.
So I've been sitting here ranting and raving about the California Emergency Services Act establishes these time limits.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. I have to correct myself on that. It's not the California Emergency Service Act that establishes the time limits. Gavin Newsom is able to produce the state of emergency based on the language in the California Emergency Services Act. And with that already, that approval to apply a state of emergency, in his state of emergency, he's violated the health and safety code.
Mm-hmm.
In the health and safety code, and I give them the code number. If y'all want to look it up, go to Gavin Newsom's state of emergency declaration. The code's in there. I don't have it off the top of my head. That says that a local emergency must be reviewed by the county, the city council, or the municipality every 30 days to ensure that it's still necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And that it must last for no less than 7 days before it can be enacted. Then you have the California Government Code,
Mm-hmm.
which Gavin Newsom also waives the 60-day time limit in that. So I sent an email addressing this and asking them to open our building as public comment.
Right.
Now, because I sent that to them that way, I sent it to the clerk should have known right there, okay, that was meant to be read as public comment, and so the public could, hear my words.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't allowed by the clerk. She didn't read mine. She read other emails, but she didn't read mine. And her excuse later on, after the clips that we showed you, when they were all talking about why things happened, Cooper Condit actually asked before I nutted up, were there any other emails? And she said yes, but they were sent to all of you individually, so there's no need to read them. You guys already have that information.
Right.
But my point and why
you
I'm
wanted
pissed
everyone
off,
to hear it, though.
right, and at that point I raised my hand. They're still in discussions moving towards the public hearing. They haven't even taken public comment for the public hearing yet, and Cooper's asking that. Why? Because I'm emailing Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I'm emailing Cooper. What the hell? Are you going to say something? You're my rep.
Right.
Rep me now. Oh, let's see what they do in the agenda item. Cooper dropped the ball. He knew there was an email. He knew there was a public comment. Because he has a desire to try to get things accomplished in a constitutional and in a realistic manner,
Mm-hmm.
he's trying not to rock the boat.
Right.
But the Ceres City Council's absolutely, Matthew, get ready for your mark. Cooper, just like they chance. I don't know what the hard-on for the Condits
They've
is.
had something against Cooper, yeah. Look at the way they treated him when he was on Planning Commission.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I've said this to both Condit boys. The Condit family has done nothing but honorable things for Ceres.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's this rift that occurred, you know, sometime right before Gary was unable to secure re-election. And whether you know the situation of that or not.
Well, I remember it, yeah.
Right. Since then, that family has been looked upon in an unsavory light by some of the folks that you think may be representing you in Ceres.
And to be honest, I always kind of was sympathetic to Gary on that whole thing. I don't think he did or withheld anything that would have been substantial. You know,
I don't believe there was any funny business.
No,
going
not at
on
all.
there.
For him, I think it was coincidental, dude, and unfortunate that he was caught in that situation, man.
No, it was made for TV drama, dude.
Well, yeah, totally. That's what the news turned it into.
If you look at things that are happening
I'm
today,
talking about the reality of the situation that happened, though. If you actually look at the legal, like the police detective reports and everything, you know, you're totally right about what the news did to it.
They a totally lot of turned it into and everything there. All I'm saying is the Condit family has been disgraced for honorable people of the utmost moral integrity, and they attacked Chance when he was on the council. They're attacking Cooper now.
Well, they already were. Like I said, even when he was on the Planning Commission, they were already going after him. It's not new now that he's on the council. They already had it in for him.
It's wrong that they're doing it. And
I agree.
And some of the decisions they're making, you know, and Javier Lopez has no part to play in this.
Yeah.
But Brett
he's new to the game.
So Brett Silvera running around like he's a planning commissioner and this and that. I just found out he served 4 months on the planning commission and vacated that seat to become a council person. Well, you can't slam Chance Condit for vacating his council seat
to go to
become
a
board of supervisors deputy. If you did the same on the planning commission, you're a hypocrite. Well, I already bring out that you're a hypocrite. I already bring out that Brett Silvera doesn't honor his oaths.
Right. Well, what's a person going to do if you're in office and you get elected to a bigger office? Of course, you're going to leave your old position.
Anyways,
doesn't matter how long you've been in it.
So my original email per public comment didn't get read. And that basically is why I was so upset with the council.
Right.
You know, now I have to go on the defensive. And now I have to insist that you treat us fairly. Not only you treat us fairly, that give the guy his 10 years.
Right.
You know, that give me what I deserve. You're not reading my public comments. You're not following the laws of the state of California. You're allowing a tyrannical governor to rule with an iron fist, right? You have our council meetings closed. And then you're not even following the procedures in the closed council meetings. Our city clerk needed to be fired Tuesday morning. If Justin Quigley were to send an email and they didn't read it, would that or would not that be a violation of your right?
Well, you know, I don't know the process like you do, so I'd have to defer to your knowledge on the subject.
Do we have the right to redress our grievances?
Well, yeah, and that's what the public comment section is supposed to be about.
If she failed to read my comments that I sent her in accordance with the provisions set forth because we're in a Zoom meeting,
then yeah, that would be a violation.
Was I allowed to redress my grievance?
Not if they were going to ignore the email, no.
So if I didn't have my California constitutional right to redress my government for my grievance because the city clerk denied it, the city clerk, and I want you to listen, Tom Westbrook, Linda Rhino, Javier Lopez, Cooper Condit, Tom Hallinan. I haven't decided whether I bring legal action against the city of Ceres for violation of my most basic rights. The city clerk violated the constitutions and violated the law of the city of the state of California when she rejected my right to redress my government for a grievance.
Right.
Okay? This is our most basic of right, held in the First Amendment of the United States Constitution, in our Bill of Rights. It doesn't get. The only thing I get more passionate about is an officer of the law not being able to fatally shoot and wound you, because our number one right, we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. That means the right cannot be taken from us. Among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. See, everything I addressed to that council had to do with the most basic of civil right.
Right.
And the violation of my most basic of civil right. And the fact that I can be this calm tells you and Matthew that when I say she should be fired, it's a legitimate request.
Yeah, you've thought it through thoroughly.
And the reason, and it should tell all our listeners that, and the city of Ceres, that a lawsuit may or may not be pending.
Well, and I just want to point something out, too, that you just, in your own humility, didn't point out right now, is that you're not just standing up for your constitutional rights. You are standing up for the constitutional rights of the other people who are also suffering this same abuse or neglect from the city council.
And I'm sure if she did it to me, she's done it to others.
And they will continue to.
And that's where my humility comes from, and that's where my steadfastness comes from. And I've saved this part of the monologue for our viewers. I didn't let this out to Mr. Westbrook or Mr. Helena or our city council.
Right.
But I got to tell you, if they keep fucking with me, and I don't want you to take that out. Anybody has a problem with the use of my language, I'm sorry. If you're that weak that you can't have that in there, if my government keeps fucking with me, it will be at the peril of the entire city of Ceres. Will I accept payment afterwards? I may be able to be a greedy bitch. I'm not looking for money. I'm looking for what's right.
Right. You want justice.
I want the city clerk fired.
Well, that would be justice.
I want her fired immediately. Or her resignation. Whatever you'd like to produce, ma'am, would be just fine with me. But as an elector and a taxpayer in the city that employs you, I am your employer, and I would like your resignation or your employment terminated immediately for violations of the constitutions and violations of the people. In my opinion, we've already been over this, high crimes and misdemeanors. Right. You've committed a high crime. You've actually committed a felony against me. And you should hold no public office, whether it's in the employ of a city or in the representation of the people. We are addressing actual impeachable offenses if you were an elected officer of the city.
Right.
You're in a position of power in the city, and you need to go. Either that or you need to make a public apology to me at the next city council meeting. If any of our council members had any stones, they'd see to it that she did. So, go out and sue your government. I mean, I admit my failures. You know, I was steering everybody down a California Emergency Services Act, path, and it's not. It's
you
the
came
health
in
and
here
safety
and
code. It's
you
the
came in here
government
and
code.
acknowledged that you had looked at it incorrectly or whatever, and you rectified it. You know what I mean?
And I looked at the same things over and over, and I read the same executive order over and over, and in my frustration, see, prior to this event, and me becoming calm, when a guy like me with ADD gets calm,
that's usually when there's trouble.
Somebody.
That's because the gears are turning in there.
Yeah, well, somebody made a mistake, and now we're going to get into real important territory.
Right.
Attention.
And now
to
you're
detail.
focused. Yeah.
Attention
and
to
now
detail.
you're focused.
And in that attention to detail, I've discovered that I needed to rectify a wrong that I have been perpetrating on our listeners. It wasn't the California Emergency Services Act. It's a health and safety code, and it was the government code.
We need to get this guy a law degree, man.
The very code, 4 more years of school. An online deal I could do at night, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Or hey, listen.
You'd be good at arguing in court, man.
Listen, there's two ways to be an attorney in California. Right? You can go to law school and you can take the bar exam.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can apprentice for someone and take the bar exam.
Oh, okay.
Dude,
there you go.
anybody that wants to give me a apprenticeship, I'm not going to come work for you. We can talk on the phone. We can hang out and have beers. We can apprentice that way.
Right.
Learning the law, which pretty much I don't need to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I go to these family law attorneys when I was getting a divorce or when there were games with temporary restraining order, abuses against me, and they're telling me, dude, why don't you go to law school? And I'm 44 years old. What do I want to start over,
I'll be honest, man, and most libertarians would probably agree with this too. I'm of the opinion if you were able to go and take the bar exam and pass it right now, why can't you be a lawyer?
Because
why do you need to have training from somebody that's already licensed or go to a school and if you can pass the test that says you know the law and you're qualified to be a lawyer, you ought to be able to be a lawyer.
Well, what we need
this
to
is
understand,
a theoretical question,
right?
Obviously.
What we need to understand is the bar exam doesn't necessarily tell you if you know what the law is.
No, you're right.
There's hundreds of lawyers out there that think because the United States House of Representatives and the United States Senate can agree to something and have a president agree to it, well, then it's constitutional.
Right.
That it's lawful. It's not.
Right.
That's not how it works. There's hundreds of judges, thousands of judges in this nation that have that same viewpoint. Well, your elected representative said it was okay, so
you voted for him.
Right. No,
you voted for him to tell you what to do, people. No, yeah, I agree with you. That's exactly their mindset. A lot of them, not all of them. But I mean, that's just my hypothetical opinion. If someone can pass the same test that anyone else passed to become a lawyer, why can't they be a lawyer?
But that wasn't the original benchmark.
No, you're right.
The
original benchmark was you get up in court and order it. You get in court and you argue your point.
The original benchmark was that Justin did something wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
Say they have you on some made-up because that's what they do. They make stuff up.
Right.
Right? And you need counsel. You need someone on the outside to look at this situation and help argue your point in a rational manner.
Right.
Because throughout human history, the accused is never taken seriously.
Right.
Okay? We know that. That's why we have the right to representation. It doesn't say we have the right to a state-certified representative.
Right.
It says you have the right to representation.
Exactly. Well, and you can represent yourself, too.
So where are we at?
They call that pro se.
So, right, but if you want to be an attorney, you have to pay the state money.
Licensures, exactly.
Right?
That's what it's all about. It's all about the money.
Right.
And restriction of access to that occupation.
Exactly. But it should be if you or Matthew need legal advice and guidance.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look
other.
back far enough, there were no laws on being a lawyer. If you could get up in court and argue good, then people would be like, come argue my case for me, Even if you look at doctors, who were the original doctors? They were guys that experimented on bodies and were successful. Yeah. They either cut open cadavers and learned about them through biology or...
Yeah, they were robbing graves to learn about the human body.
Exactly. There was no medical universities in the days of Socrates and, Aristotle and all the Greek philosophers that originally started that whole thing.
And that goes back to my passion for the law, my passion for the way we should be treated, right? My lineage goes back to the Norse or the Viking that conquered the European areas, England and Scotland and like this. And started to establish our ideals and how our governments or our self-governance would function even there.
Right.
And you look at, okay, when it comes to the United States, people don't want to admit this, but our constitutions and our rules and way of life are based on that Anglo-Saxon, that
English
European
common law.
English common law. And that goes way back to even before 1000. What are we, AD now, after death?
Yeah.
Yeah, so with Ethelred the Ready and those times, and I've spoken to the formation of my name, and that good always is a representative of God in the language,
right?
Whether that's German, French, English, that anything that was good is of God, and anything that is evil is bad, right? So that we pronounce it good. The Germans are good, you know what I mean? And then these are all from that Norse or that Viking,
the Northern
tradition,
European.
right? And Asgard, now what would have been there very thick accented like Asgard was as God then, and over the ages translates into Osgood now, or even some Osborns, and like this. Different dialects sounded different, and it morphed into different things over the time.
Right.
So I'm not just singling out the Osgoods, and I'm not just saying I'm Asgod, but I'm passionate about these things because I believe there's a divine hand on the principles that I'm fighting for. Right? We see it where, we can't even get in the Capitol building. They won't even let us in. Now they've put a fence up because some yahoos trespassed.
20,000 National Guardsmen and everything, right?
Right, so we can't even access our institutions, our buildings. Right? So we've already been over the most basic of rights of life. And we know in this county, in our cities, we have them shutting us out of our buildings. Okay?
Yeah,
so shutting us out of our city council meetings. Thankfully, our county board of supervisors has never closed.
Yeah, and most of our law enforcement just says they won't enforce the governor's orders.
Right, but there's not one city in Stanislaus County that has that has their open council meetings.
Oh, okay.
Our county council is open.
Right.
Whether we call them supervisors or not,
right,
their meetings are open. Not one city in this county is open. Ceres will stand on the thing that, because there's no other city open, we don't need to be open. Right?
Right. Well, maybe we ought to lead the way then.
We've heard this from Bet Silvera up there. No other city in the county's doing this, so I don't know why we need to do this.
Well, we're not other cities.
Well, right. And
we're Ceres.
No.
Act like it.
No.
We need to quit.
We're
absolutely.
I'm pressuring Ceres now to open now immediately.
Well, you have been for a while.
Right. Well, now with you seeing with this discussion, are you willing to come on board and help make these things happen in Ceres? That I'm saying we have to do this.
Right.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You can see they're violating us at the most basic of thing. If they've shut our buildings down like our federal government shut down. They're not listening to us like our federal government's not listening to us.
Right.
If we can't fix it at home, we're not going to fix it. Right?
Right.
But I'm just one guy in Ceres. I can't fix it on my own. Right? But in the next week, I'm pressuring the entire council. A new email will go out this weekend, pressuring the entire council to put it on the agenda. Ms. City Clerk, that email's going to you as well to be read in public comment. If it's not, I'm suing your ass personally.
I'd send it to the Ceres Courier too, like I suggested earlier. I know it might seem pointless to you, but they might even run it. You know what I mean?
You know what? I'm a subscriber to the Ceres Courier. My paper didn't show up this week, so what good does that do?
They have online articles too, man.
Okay, however. My point is, I'm trying
to be optimistic here for once.
No, but I'm just saying.
I know that's not my usual attitude.
I've already had the discussion with Matthew,
and
I think Matthew's on board. We're coming after Turlock next. Amy Bublack, you guys better get your meetings open.
That's their mayor.
Yeah,
in Turlock.
We know we have a large listening audience in Turlock, right?
Yeah, well, that's where we're based out of.
And I probably have gained a few with this episode just by being as calm.
Right. Probably getting more listeners in Ceres too.
As they'd like me to be. Like, because I rub both sides of the aisle wrong.
Right.
Because I'm just the asshole.
Right.
Or that's how I'm perceived.
You're a little rough around the edges for conservatives, I would think, maybe.
Well, conservatives aren't really conservatives.
Well,
and
not
really
an aspect of government and the law. No, they try to be traditionalists.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But we're absolutely coming after Turlock next. You're a week behind or 2 weeks behind. Turlock residents have been discussing this with me, and the same emails are coming to you. You better get your crap open. Because I'm not going to stand on a curb like one of your council members and whine because there's a recall campaign against me. I'm coming to stand on your curb as a business owner in Turlock, and I'm coming with Turlock electors to stand on your curb, to stand on his curb. And it's going to feel like we're stomping on your neck. So I suggest you get the meeting open. We've already shown you what it feels like, how you look, and how you sound when this guy goes off on you. Because I'm not going off half-cocked. You're getting double-barreled. And you're getting law and reason. You're getting our founding principles thrown in your face. Stop violating us. Open your damn meetings. We can sit 2 chairs apart. We can wear face shields or masks if we so choose. Or we can wear nothing if we don't choose.
Mm-hmm.
That's an individual protective equipment. That's why they call it personal protective equipment.
Mm-hmm.
It's your choice whether you utilize it, not your dictate that I utilize it. Open your meetings with no restrictions now, and let's behave how we want to behave as individuals. You're not going to get sick. You know, what's the percentage of people that have periled from
Well, and it's not like the city council meetings get that crowded anyway. Like you said, it'd be easy to space people out far enough.
Well, especially in Ceres. I mean, we had a 100, 200 person. How many? Well, I don't think 200. How many people do you think were in the Ceres council chambers? And part of it was closed off, right? One section was closed off. You couldn't see our chamber, our bench,
mm-hmm.
and our clerk and city manager positions. That was shut with the partitions.
Right.
But we had a good 150 people for Josh Harder in that same council chamber.
For his town hall, yeah.
Right. So
that was like 4 times as many people that show up for city council meetings.
Right, and that was only 2 or 3 sections of 2 of the 3 sections of that side of the building.
Right.
So we could open up all the sections in Ceres.
Oh, yeah,
and
totally.
no one even be within 6 feet of each
other. At a regular city council meeting, I don't think I've seen more than 50 people show up.
I don't think ever in Ceres.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be a high estimate. Like I'm saying, that's like probably the top
that's
number
like
you're trying
to fire firefighters and police officers and
right, or like when the people came to object for the methadone clinic that they're trying to put in over there on Mitchell. There was a pretty big turnout for that one, but yeah, most of the time it's 20, 30 people maybe.
Well,
if even
and
that
see there, you know. We're going to say you can't put these things in, these businesses in private areas. And, you know, I know some people don't want that kind of element in the community, but they wouldn't be trying to put a methadone clinic in the community if
it wasn't needed.
Dude, if that element wasn't already in your community.
Right. Well, see, and you're taking the more liberty side of that stance, which would actually go against the conservatives because the conservatives weren't taking the liberty side of that stance. They're the ones going in there saying, you can't put this here, at least move away out into some industrial area that all these junkies don't even have access to.
Right, but now...
How are they going to get out there? They
need
it to a place that's close to the commercial business area.
But Mr. Reynolds is out in the industrial area. I mean, it doesn't
he can't get his 10-year extension.
10 years like
that's
everybody
what I'm
else
saying.
has gotten.
I know where that dispensary is, and that was the point I was getting at. Is they're way out in the outskirts of Ceres. Even if there was violence surrounding that place, who's it going to affect? Only the people there at the scene of the incident.
But the councilwoman is not worried about violence there. She's worried about the violence from the home delivery that state law allows.
Oh, like they're going to beat up like how people used to jump pizza delivery men or what?
People still do that.
Yeah, occasionally. It's not a common
She's worried
occurrence.
about how much money these people are carrying, how much marijuana they're carrying, right?
Yeah.
She's worried about the weed man getting burglarized in her neighborhood where her grandchildren are playing. Bitch,
well,
ain't
how about
nobody
we allow
robbing
the
weed man.
How about we allow marijuana couriers to open carry? Then I bet nobody will try to rob them.
Nobody.
You notice how armed trucks never get robbed, or very seldom do? When they get hit, it's usually like a crew that does an inside job. I was talking about that at work the other day. I used to watch the Brinks guys do their work over there on Kearney in Modesto when it was by Habitat for Humanity. There's a dude with a 45 or a 12 gauge out in the street letting it be known, I've got a gun. You don't want to mess with this vehicle.
Straight up. Okay? I don't partake because I don't partake. I've never even tried marijuana. Unlike Bill Clinton, I actually never have inhaled.
Right. But you still support people's choice if they want to smoke it, which is the libertarian view of things.
Well, I look at the
commerce.
I look at the commerce clauses in the United States Constitution that all our nation states are responsible to adhere to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I view it different than most people when they read the "and amongst the several states."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, where we have international fuel tax agreements and we have international registration program.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm utilizing my truck for commercial business, right, then I do see Nevada or Arizona, Idaho has a legitimate right to a portion of my registration because the government, we've allowed in our principles that they can regulate commerce in their state.
Right.
And that as several states in contract with each other through the federal government, they can make international registration plans,
right.
and they can make international fuel
because they
tax
regulate
agreements.
interstate commerce,
right? So not to the point as to say how a car should be built in all of the United States, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or how a gun should be built, or what can be sold where to whom.
Right.
Like free market. But as far as the individuals engaged in moving that commerce, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or even product leaving the several states and going outside of the member states, right? Those are areas that can be regulated. But people misinterpret that to mean, well, you can't sell that gun in that state. You can't sell that gun in that state. You can't sell that product there. You can't do this there. When the federal government doesn't have that responsibility, but they do have the responsibility.
Yeah, that should be on the state power.
Yeah, of regulating my ability to freely cross state lines, but at the same time give each state their
own jurisdiction.
Their
right?
jurisdiction.
For what they'll allow in or out.
No, but like to say that I can't purchase all my fuel in California and pay all my fuel tax to California and then be in Nevada running that fuel off.
Right. Where they're getting the emissions from it.
It has nothing to do with emissions.
That's the whole argument behind taxing gas and stuff.
Well, and roads and this and that.
Right.
So the wear and tear on
I'm
the
looking at it from the
infrastructure.
government's argument standpoint when I made that statement.
Right. So the infrastructure, right, whatever. They need those funds to be able to keep
maintain their highways and roads and stuff.
Yeah. And let's face it, while we're taxing us federally and we're putting some of that money into the interstate highway system or the federal highway system, roads are supposed to be a state deal.
Right.
And post roads only are the short amount of distance connecting one state's roads to the other state's roads. Right? That's the only place the federal government has an authority to do a highway. these major highways that traverse the country, right? But just a road to say, okay, say if we didn't have an I-80, right, and we only had 99 and like Highway 4 or Highway 88,
right?
Then the post road would be between California's Highway 88 and 395. So a little section from when you come through off of 88 to the state line. That little section of highway between the state line of California and 395 being the Nevada highway.
That should be the only section that's federal, you're saying?
That's the only section that should be federally maintained, or money come for federally maintaining that section of highway. Because, okay, this was California's highway. Now, just because that asphalt is there going to the next Nevada highway, and it's not 395. There's another Nevada highway that comes down closer to where 88 would terminate, right?
Mm-hmm. Right, because
so
395 is largely in California, isn't it?
Well, both.
Or mostly on.
Both, right. So just small sections are like federally needed to
But then they went and made the Interstate Act.
Yeah, and we're back to whatever.
Who did that? That was FDR, right? In the 40s or something?
No, I think it was Eisenhower.
Was it before that? Oh, Eisenhower? Oh, it was after.
The war.
In the 50s?
Well, I know all the
rest
it was
mid-20th century.
Came after that.
Yeah, it was mid-20th century.
Correct me if I'm wrong. It is what it is. So, however, Ceres is screwed. Turlock is screwed. We'll get Ceres open, and then we'll get Turlock open, and we'll get Modesto open. But I'm sure we're running out of battery on the camera.
We're getting close.
But we're at almost an hour and a half now.
We're at about an hour and a half.
Not necessarily ranting and raving, but discussing things.
No, this has been a good discussion
happening in our community here. So,
any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I'm all closed out.
Just try to be positive and do your best out there, because there's a lot of crazy stuff going on right now.
Yeah, no joke.
And who knows which way it's going to go.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I want to thank everybody who has been watching our live stream. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit like on our Facebook page to follow us when we broadcast again. We broadcast this show live every Saturday at 9 a.m. You can email us, feedback at ForgottenLibertyRadio.com. Give us a call, 209-214-8099. Eventually, we'll probably get live callers on, maybe, someday. I don't know. Anyhow, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Forgotten Liberty Radio. We'll catch you next time.